When Mercedes-Benz decided it needed to answer the likes of Rolls-Royce and Bentley, which belonged to the BMW and Volkswagen group, it brought to life the Maybach brand. Now, it wasn't really the brightest of stars. Unlike the Rolls-Royce and the Bentley, which were based on the new generation of the 7 Series and the Phaeton, the Maybachs were based on an aging S-Class platform, and as a result, they weren't really the most dynamically capable of cars. Now, as a result, they did suffer their inevitable doom in 2012 when Mercedes-Benz pulled them out of production due to poor sales. Now, however, the Maybach brand has been resurrected, and this time around, things have changed. To begin with, the Maybach is now based on the new S-Class, and what a car to be based on. It is evidently stretched between the B and C pillars by 207 mm. You guessed it, more room for the rear passenger. Lots of it. This car is missing the optional 20-inch rims that the global model gets, which has opinions divided. I just think they're stunning. These ones are okay too. The one thing I'd have wanted Mercedes Maybach to do differently is have the Maybach logo back where it belongs, on the hood. Most other elements aren't all that different from the regular S-Class, and why would they be? The regular S-Class is a beautiful, stately design. The S-Coupe is possibly one of the most stunning cars I've driven this year. The Maybach is definitely the least attractive body form for the S-Class. But does that really matter once you're on the insides? Not in the least. In fact, everything that's happening on the outside stops mattering once you enter this cabin. Let me show you what I mean. Now, the brochure of the Maybach S600, and as a result every web review on the internet, is going to compare this cabin to the first-class cabin of a commercial airliner. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to put this to test. Right, so you have your pilot up front, you've got plenty of storage spaces all around, you've got your entertainment up front, nice big screen, you've got massage functions in all the seats, you've even got this table that lets you have a meal or even work on your laptop. You have an optional extra to enjoy a chilled glass of champagne in custom-made silver flutes as well. And the seats recline all the way up to 43 degrees, so you can lie back in the lap of luxury. I'm sorry, but I'm still not convinced about this being the same as the first-class cabin of a commercial airliner. I mean, where's my stewardess? Remember the time when we said that the Prime Minister of India should be driving in the back seat of an S-Class, and then we withdrew that verdict and said it had to be the S-Guard. But now I think it's got to be the Mercedes Maybach, because working its voodoo between those horrendous Indian roads and the rear seat's cushions is now the magic body control. As a driver, you can't really predict every single pothole that comes your way. Now, that's not really a problem because the clever Magic Body uses cameras up front and it identifies every form of undulation and then pre-adjusts the suspension even before you've actually hit the bump. There's Nappa leather all around, heating and cooling from within the seats. Even your cup holder gets heating and cooling. You can lie back and stare at the sky through the Magic Sky control or tint the sunroof with the press of a button, a cool effect created by tiny piezoelectric creatures. Mercedes claims that the S-Class Maybach is the quietest cabin in the world, and I'm not really going to argue with them on that. But this whole commercial airliner analogy is useful here as well. Let me explain. Now, you know the time where the pilot actually uses the jets just before your landing to control the descent, and then just before the touchdown, there's this about 2 or 3 seconds of complete silence and weightlessness. That's what the Maybach's rear seat feels throughout the ride. It's not often that as an auto journalist you don't want to get out of the rear seat, get into the front seat and actually drive the car. I mean, that's our job after all. But how can you? This seat is just so comfortable at the back. Now, the only thing that's actually pulling me towards that front driver's seat is the massive 6-liter V12 under the hood. Abid, stop the car. I think I'm going to drive now. The S600 gets the flagship 6-liter V12, which makes sense for a big cruiser like the Maybach. The bi-turbo petrol produces 530 PS, while peak torque is a colossal 830 Nm that's available at only 1900 RPM. The car cruises at triple-digit speeds with the tacho only reading a little more than 1000 RPM. Even a slight tap on the throttle is enough to make quick overtakes. The proven 7-speed automatic isn't set to be lightning quick as much as it is to smoothen the gear changes for the benefit once again of the passengers. But numbers aside, this V12 isn't really meant for spirited driving, for sudden acceleration, fast direction changes, unless of course you're involved in a high-speed chase, which only really happens in movies. No, this engine is meant more for cruising, for flirting with those speed limits of, say, the Autobahn or the Mumbai-Pune Expressway. That's where this engine is really comfortable. But then, do you really need a V12? I mean, wouldn't a bi-turbo V8 do just fine? And let's be honest, I don't foresee anyone actually buying the car and then driving it themselves. But under the awesome circumstance that you do, 100 km an hour comes up in under 6 seconds for a car that weighs 2,300 kilograms. And please, don't ask me how thirsty the V12 is. Alright, I warned you. In the fuel test, the car managed to return 4 km in town and 7 km on the highway on a single litre of fuel, translating to an overall figure of 4.75 km to the litre. Ouch. Let's see how it responds to sudden direction changes. Now, there is a bit of body roll, which can be expected. This is a car that weighs 2.3 tons, but the Magic Body Control does quite a decent job in negating it as much as is possible within the boundaries of physics. Now, the steering is quite light, and it kind of belies the actual size of this car. And at higher speeds, it does weigh up nicely. It is very precise, so at no point will you actually feel uncomfortable. As expected from a flagship model, the Mercedes-Maybach S600 offers just about every comfort and safety feature as standard. The Burmester stereo offers one of the best audio experiences in a car, and it only gets better with the Maybach. In terms of safety, the S-Class is the first car in India to offer 12 airbags. That's right. It includes a rear seat belt bag, which is an inflatable seatbelt strap that reduces the load on the passenger's ribcage in the event of an impact. The car also gets night vision with pedestrian detection. I'm sure at this point you're wondering whether a car like this would cost as much as a small-scale industry. You're right, it does. At 2.6 crore rupees, the S600 is almost twice as expensive as the regular S-Class. So is it really worth paying all that money for the Maybach badge, the V12 up front, or the incredible assortment of creature comforts? Absolutely. But it doesn't matter because you can't really buy this right now. At least not for this year, because all of them have been sold out. Thankfully, you can buy the S500 Maybach, which is the locally assembled version of the Maybach. Now it loses out on the V12. It has a bi-turbo V8 and a few features, but then it is a crore less expensive than the S600, which, if you think of it, actually makes it quite good value. Now, one of the deemed reasons for the failure of the Maybach brand was the fact that it couldn't really differentiate itself from Mercedes and its other products in a way that Rolls-Royce and Bentley did so well. And now Mercedes aren't even trying to do that. In fact, now Maybach has become a division of Mercedes-Benz, and that's also because of the kind of success that the S-Class has had. It is now a strong brand in itself. And now you have an S-Class for everyone, those who want to drive with the S-Coupe and those who don't want to drive with the Maybachs. Now, Mercedes-Benz's claim to being the best car in the world has often been contested. But with these body forms now, it's the closest that it's ever been to being the best car in the world.